News Radio 1000 KTOK. I'm Gwin Faulconer-Lippert. Well, we have been tracking a program called Access Oklahoma with the Oklahomans for Responsible Transportation for quite a while now. Randy Carter is the Director of Strategic Communication. Tassie Hirschfeld is on the board of the Oklahomans for Responsible Transportation. They joined me this evening because recently they issued a press release, as did the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. Going on 3 years now, has been, in quotes, planning to put 3 toll roads through Cleveland County, different parts of Cleveland County. Randy and Tassie happen to live in the path of one of these toll roads, and that is how they became involved. Since Access Oklahoma was shared by the governor and all that, it was discovered that the Bureau of Reclamation would not allow the path that they chose. And Randy and Tassie, am I right in remembering that they spent $8.2 million designing that path but had no approval for it? Is that number right?
I don't remember the exact figure, but that's definitely in the ballpark. So,
it's in the millions. It's in the millions, definitely.
So $8 million, and then they find out, no, we can't do that. So now they're coming back, meeting, I'll say that generously, with a whole new group of citizens of Cleveland County, telling them that they're planning to put a turnpike somewhere through their homes, neighborhoods, family, property, whatever. So tell me about what happened this past week with Loft, which is the Legislative Office of Fiscal Transparency. What does that office even do, and how does that affect you all?
Well, that office basically is an extension of the state legislature. There's on the committee actually are senators and state representatives from both parties, and there's a staff of about, I believe, 6 people, and they are requested to do investigations, financial investigations of different state agencies, different programs that are going on in the state. If you remember not too long ago that the big story that broke about Epic Schools and that big fiasco, that was Loft was involved in the investigation of that, I do recall. But basically it's just a committee that's works for the House and the Senate of Oklahoma.
And as it relates to the Turnpike Authority, what did they announce?
They just released, and this has been going on for, well over a year, Tassie, year and a half?
Thereabouts, yeah. It's been quite a while.
They were charged by the committee to investigate, I believe, the feasibility of the turnpikes returning to being toll-free roads is what the initial request was. But what they've come out with quite a few things that we have a few issues with. Tassie, tell everybody about regulatory capture. That was a new term that I just came across with this. So,
well, I'm glad you asked. Regulatory capture is the term that's used for when an analysis or assessment of a business or a state agency is supposed to be independent and to give legislators an honest, independent analysis, turns out to be not so independent. So I even have, here's a little dictionary definition. Regulatory capture occurs when the regulatory agencies that are intended to control and regulate business firms end up being controlled by them. And so when we read the Loft report, we just saw so many uncritically repeated OTA talking points that is my conclusion about this report. They did some good research, and I've met some of them. They're nice people, but I think that OTA, for whatever reason, just has these tentacles of influence, and they are very skilled at forestalling any kind of critical analysis of their bad behavior.
But didn't they come out and say, now I may be reading this into stuff, or Randy, I should just have you say, what was your press release about specifically?
Well, we took issue with a number of things that the Loft report, shall we say, failed to go into detail about and give a real open, complete answer. One of the things that we have an issue with is that we see and the Loft report. I mean, this is something we've been saying all along, but the Loft report just reinforced it. That what OTA does is they structure their debt so they can avoid paying the principal. The debts right now that they are proposing to go into for the Access program, and by the way, Gwen, the Access program, part of it is in McLean County as well as Cleveland County, the 3 turnpikes. But anyway, my point here is that this debt we believe, well, based on our analysis, and we've got a crack CPA that's doing these analysis, this will explode to over $8 billion of debt for the Access program once they're built. Unbelievable. And
somewhere I read, now you can correct me, that at the current payoff rate that they don't really plan to do because they only pay on the interest, they don't pay on the debt actually, it would be 250 years? Did I read that right?
It would be over 200. But again, they don't ever pay principal. When those principal payments come due, they just refinance, kick the can farther down the road. So it could easily be 500 years, right? Like they have no intention of ever being debt-free because this is such a cash cow for them. They have all this money with no oversight. So obviously they want to keep that little money machine going.
Well, and part of the deal with the 200 years, not that the 3 turnpikes they're proposing in this Access program, the 3 new ones, we know there's some other projects that are involved in Turner and other things, but the 3 projects in Cleveland and McLean County that are going to take over 200 years to pay off, that's based on their analysis from the traffic and revenue studies that they have to prepare in order to justify the bonds. But if it's going to take 200 years to pay these things off, that means that they're not necessary. Mm-hmm. They're not going to serve a purpose. I mean, this should be paid off in the Turner. What was the Turner paid off? It said that they were going to pay that off in 30 years. Isn't that right?
Right.
Yeah.
And here's our fun little postscript, just sort of showing how, in my honest opinion, malevolent they are. Like, there is one turnpike that they did pay all the bonds off, but then they kept charging tolls. So we really don't think they're good faith actors at any level and are not to be trusted with large amounts of money.
And the takeaway I got from the Loft report was Oklahomans better just toughen up because we're never going to have free roads again. No.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair assessment. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think they ever intend to pay these things off at all like they originally promised the people that they were going to do. From the Loft report and some of the things that we've been saying forever and ever, the Driving Forward program that included the Kickapoo Turnpike, they've been, since 2017 and 18, they've been only making payments on interest-only payments for the last 12 to 15 years. That's never going to get paid off, especially at the rate that people use the Kickapoo. What is that? 3 people a day go down that road? Okay, I'm exaggerating.
No, but the one time I drove on it, I was alone. It was kind of scary. I thought, has the end of the earth come? And did the rapture happen and I got left? I don't know. Anyway, I need to take a break. So you all will be gathering up other important facts that you would like to share with our audience about the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. One of the interesting questions I posed to my husband was, most state agencies have to balance their budget. Why does the Turnpike Authority not have to? And guess what? It's all in the name. It's called the authority. If you're an authority, you are not part of government. You're an authority. So hold on. Randy Carter, Tassie Hirschfeld, we're talking about a program called Access Oklahoma. Is it access or is it excess? And as a citizen, if you drive on it, you pay. You're listening to 1000 KTOK. I'm Gwin Faulconer-Lippert. Well, I must commend you both, because now that they've had to move the north-south connector path, I think your properties are no longer in jeopardy, and yet you all still are helping with the research, with the getting the word out, with the fight, if I can say it that way. And I just commend you for that. And why do you do that?
Well, I will tell you, like, I have never recovered emotionally from the ambush of 2022. And I recently met with a group of homeowners who are in the new path, and they are going through all of those same stages of, like, grief and outrage and shock. And we don't want anybody else to ever have to experience that. So we are absolutely as determined as we were on day one. We're not tired because the OTA is just that bad.
Well,
indeed, Gwen.
Let me say this to Tassie. You are such an incredible investigator, if I can say it that way, that you will go back and research what we really voted on, in the 50s or whatever it was. And you have been able to shine a light on a lot of misrepresentation that has gone on for years now. Randy, please continue.
Oh, no, go ahead. I was going to say that we were what they tried to cast us as NIMBYs in a rather derogatory way. A NIMBY is not in my backyard, is what that stands for. And, of course, we didn't want it in our backyard. And quite frankly, I was a NIMBY. I didn't want this in my backyard, and I was quite upset. I probably didn't sleep for 3 or 4 days when they first announced this. It was very, very, very upsetting. But in the process of all of this, I've discovered what a mess the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority is. It's basically a gigantic Ponzi scheme that's going to keep on giving and giving to our children and our grandchildren for years to come. It's going to be a major burden. Right now, what's their debt? About $3 billion. And they can't even take care of that. They're proposing that debt to be $8 billion. Some of our people have projected once everything's done and they've paid all the bills, and then they have to pay interest and all that stuff, it's going to be over $10 billion that our kids and grandkids are going to have to deal with. And we don't want to see them build more turnpikes to kick the can further down the road. It's just not right. And I think that's gotten me engaged in all of this. I got involved in running political campaigns way back in the 90s because I was upset about the way things were in the state of Oklahoma, and I said somebody ought to do something about this. And I realized that I was the only person I had any control over, and I made a promise to myself that I would not let another election cycle go by without making sure I got involved in seeing that what I could do to make sure the right kind of people got elected to hold office.
Well, let me hit you with the question everybody hits me with. But the traffic is getting so bad. Won't a toll road fix that?
The traffic is going to get worse. These toll roads, they're just going to dump more traffic onto I-35. It's what's called induced demand. Induced demand means that the more roads you build, the more traffic you're going to attract. There's a whole academic theory behind all of this, and it's been proven in other parts of the country that adding new roads like this just bring more traffic.
And I'll add, too, like, the one they're most eager to get started on is the east-west connector. Please explain to me, in simple language, how an east-west highway is going to improve traffic on the north-south highway. Because, this just seems like a geographic puzzle that I can't begin to understand.
And that's Indian Hills Road, isn't it, really? I mean,
it is.
When you're in Norman, which homes are all along there. I mean,
beautiful.
Talk to those Kickapoo people, because of all of the unfinished promises for drainage, for whatever. I mean, and here we already have established neighborhoods on Indian Hills Road, and I heard for those people. Well, I'll be quiet, and we have about 5 minutes left. You tell us what we need to know and what we need to do.
Before we go, and it's a great opportunity right now to talk about it, our Pike Off OTA documentary is going to be shown again November the 11th. this time in Oklahoma City at the Rodeo Cinema, which is in the Stockyards area. I don't have the exact address with me right now, but it's very easy to find. Rodeo Cinema, Stockyards. It's going to be November the 11th. I think the doors open at 6, and the screening will actually start at 6:30. And this is an award-winning documentary, and it is absolutely wonderful. It tells the story of all the, is malfeasance a good word?
Yeah, and just the suffering that people have gone through who lost their houses, had property damage, and are still waiting for their day in court.
Or a fair marketing. I mean, a fair offer on their homes. You know, I think one of the things that struck me, Randy, years ago when we were talking about this is, in quotes, they pay you, in quotes, market value, but not replacement value. So how can you go, first of all, finding what you already have, and then how can you go and do it if you're waiting for the payout from them? So anyway, so November the 11th, Rodeo Cinema at 6 o'clock. It's probably general seating, so people can go.
Yes,
and you know, everybody goes, well, I don't use a toll road, or I don't drive along there, until they have to go to Tulsa, or they have to go to Lawton, or they have to, and all of a sudden, oh, I'm on the Turnpike. And then they realize how expensive a turnpike really is to drive on. So where are our tax dollars going? Where are our roads and bridges tax dollars going?
There are no tax dollars that go towards the turnpikes. So that's a misnomer. This is not something that's a burden to the taxpayers per se. It is only the revenue that comes in for the toll only comes from toll payers. And one of the arguments they keep saying is, well, over 50% of the tolls come from out-of-state people. Well, you know, those same people that are paying those 50% of the tolls are also going to be buying gas and paying the federal gas tax,
which is supposed to be taking care of the free roads, right?
That is exactly right, yes.
And not the bucking bridges, but that's another story.
The roller coaster road.
The roller coaster road, that's exactly right. Well, so where are you all in all of this? I mean, you've got some really great minds involved with fighting for your rights. Yes. And
one of our greatest minds has actually developed a relatively painless plan to wind down the toll road system, transition them to free roads without a lot of pain. And she's a genius, and it would be phased. And I think it is the absolute best solution for the state. And this is why we're so disappointed with Loft that they did not even consider it. Instead, they want to burden Oklahoma drivers with $8, $10, $12 billion of unnecessary debt to build strangulation loops around the city of Norman to keep this, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, out of control money machine going.
The monster.
It enriches a very small number of people and impoverishes the rest of the state.
Well, one of the key indicators for me was the people that are making the money as contractors building these roads once upon a time worked for the Turnpike Authority. And they saw what the contractors were doing, and that's when they left the Turnpike Authority and started these contracting companies. And so,
isn't that kind of what
regulatory capture, and that's just the revolving door, huge conflicts of interest, and they really seem to function like a cartel, which just increases prices for everybody and makes that small little cartel get really rich.
Well, and the turnpike roads cost geometrically more than the regular federal highways that are being built.
And why is that? Yes. Why is that?
Well, yeah, that's the question. Why is that? Why does it cost so much more? Does it have to do with change orders? Does it have to do with the bidding process? We don't know. That's what we wanted, something we hoped Loft would investigate.
Right. But there really is no oversight of their spending. The Council of Bond Oversight, this is in the Loft report, does not ever evaluate whether the projects make sense or whether they're feasible or whether the cost estimates are accurate, or even they don't even look at the traffic study. It's just rubber stamp all the way through, and that's why you get this out of control cost and bad behavior.
So where do people find more information? They can go see the movie on November the 11th, but between now and then, website, where, what?
Yes, pikeoffota,
pikeoffota.com is our website. There's lots of great information on there. And also, too, if people are newly finding out that they're going to be directly impacted by this changing route, we have resources that can help them to deal with that process. And feel free to reach out to Pike Off and Oklahomans for Responsible Transportation. There's a way to do that on the website. So
that's wonderful. Randy Carter, Tassie Hirschfeld, thank you so much, and keep up the good fight. I'm Gwin Faulconer-Lippert. You're listening to 1000 KTOK.